Hello, Health Science 1 classes. This is Mrs. Combs here. I'm making this video for you to hopefully answer any questions you have about the honors research paper, especially since I won't be in class due to HOSA. Hopefully by watching this video, it'll answer some questions that you may have or just give you a little bit more clarification. So the first thing I wanted to show you is this is the view of the assignment on Canvas. So this second link here takes you to an actual slide presentation that talks to you about the APA format, because this research paper does need to be written in APA style. So you can go through here and it tells you all about the font, the spacing, the margins. Okay? Now, there is a title page involved with APA format, and yes, I do want you to include a title page. There's also an abstract that's included with APA format. However, if you take a look at the rubric, you are not graded on having an abstract or not. So if you want to write a paper that you may use in a portfolio someday, of course, include the abstract. However, if this would just be more of a problem for you, you may omit it without losing points there. Okay? So anywho, it talks about how to cite things in text. It shows how to format your reference page. I will be checking to make sure that not only do you have 3 sources at least, but also that the reference page is formatted correctly. Reminder, alphabetical order, okay? People tend to forget that. On this page, it links you up with like a quick reference from Purdue's online writing lab. However, I went back to the assignment and added this link, which takes you to the website about the online writing lab, okay? And so it links you up here. And if you look at the left-hand side, sorry, some ads here, you will see APA Style 7th edition. That's what we are going to work with. And it's actually really cool because it's like formatting and style guide. If you click there, you'll see this drop down, which tells you how to make your references based upon what type of source you used. So for example, sometimes if you're utilizing like an online article or journal, you don't know the name of the author. So when you click electronic sources, it tells you how you should format it in that scenario. So this is a super helpful resource for you. So anyway, going back, if you click here, you will be brought to the instructions for the assignment as well as the actual rubric itself. So you can read through this and see everything that you need to do in order to get the exemplary marks and best option for full credit on this assignment. Okay. Just as a reminder, this project, you choose 2 different disorders from the same body system. So if you click on that See Attached list, it's going to bring you here. It is broken down by the body systems that we cover in this class and the disorders that we cover in this class. So if you liked the integumentary system a lot, you might say, well, I want to talk about athlete's foot and ringworm and compare and contrast them in my paper. Great, because those are 2 different disorders within the same body system. Now you will notice that we do not cover the respiratory system or the cardiovascular system in Health Science 1. And that means that you are not allowed to choose any disorders from those systems, okay? It has to be the body systems that we cover in this class. And again, it reminds you of that up here, okay? Once you have determined which disorders you want to research, you will then scroll down to this section here. And these are the 10 different research questions that I need to find the answers to these questions, or these questions addressed somewhere within the body of your essay, of your research paper, okay? I want it written essay style. It should not be you just giving me your resources, or excuse me, it should not be you just giving me the answers to these research questions back to back. No. It should be a thoughtful essay. This is just the first step that you want to take to make sure that you include all of the necessary research. So you'll see here in the rubric where it says research, I will actually be going through and checking to make sure that all of these questions are answered for both disorder that you chose. Okay. So just some things I wanted to go through here. We know the main body system that these disorders affect, okay? However, they might have an effect on another body system too. So that's why that's listed there. It talks about environmental factors, ethnicity, lifestyle. That's pretty self-explanatory. When it asks you what type of condition it is, and there's an example of like autoimmune, genetic, is it an acquired injury? Is it a nutritional deficit that would cause something? So that's what you are trying to find when you are looking at what type of condition it is. Now this spot here, what are the causes, etiology of the condition, if known? I wanted to spend some time talking about this because I feel like this is always an area where students are lacking a bit. So I'm going to utilize the example of lung cancer because you can't cover the respiratory system, okay? So a lot of people might look at this and say, well, isn't the etiology the cause? And it essentially is, but if, I was going to say if you're looking it up, but I took away that website. Etiology is actually more dealing with like the pathophysiology of the disorder. So like what has gone wrong with the normal physiology that has caused this disorder to occur. So I'm going to utilize the lung cancer example to answer this question. So it says, what are the causes of the condition? And so, okay, I found this source. And I'm reading through and it says that etiology, sorry. So it says smoking is the most common cause of lung cancer. 90% are attributed to smoking. So that's a cause right there, okay? But then to kind of go into, well, how? How does smoking lead to lung cancer? And so this is saying here, it's talking about how exposure to carcinogens, like what are found in cigarette smoke, can lead to this dysplasia of the lung epithelium. So then I went further because it's like, well, what does that mean? So then I went and I researched another topic, and then we're talking about how cancer develops. And it's saying that when exposed to carcinogens, it can actually change the genetic makeup of your cells. And then these cells multiply out of control. And that's what cancer is. It's abnormal cells that are multiplying out of control quicker than the body can keep up and destroy them. Okay, so you may have to look in multiple spots to find, well, it's caused by lung cancer, and this is like what goes on, you know, on the level of the body. This is how lung cancer leads to the development, or excuse me, this is how smoking leads to the development of lung cancer. So you really want to go into detail for this about what is going wrong in the body, because so much of this class, every single unit, is we introduce the structures or the anatomy, then we introduce the functions or the physiology and how stuff is normally supposed to work. And then as we introduce the disorders, we start talking about, well, why does this occur? What goes wrong that causes this to occur? And so that's really what this is trying to weed out. So when I am grading your papers and I'm looking at like the content and comprehension and evidence and examples section, I'm really honed in on this question here, okay? Important signs and symptoms, that's pretty self-explanatory. When we talk about what is the prognosis of the condition, so I'm going to utilize lung cancer again. So when I say prognosis, it's basically saying what is the outcome going to be for someone who has lung cancer? Will they die? Will they make a full recovery? Will it, you know what I'm saying? Will they have to be on oxygen forever? Will they need therapy? Will they have to limit their activity? That's what I'm talking about, prognosis. What is like the final thing that's going to occur if you have this disorder? So in the example of like some of the fractures that we covered in class, what is the prognosis? Well, if you treat it, it's going to be fully healed, okay? If you go without treatment, you may have deformity of the bone. It may not fully heal. So that's the kind of thing that we're talking about when we talk about prognosis. What's the outcome of having this disorder, okay? Similar to that, but a bit different, what are the health complications associated with this condition? Another cardiovascular disorder that you won't be able to choose, okay? High blood pressure. If you have high blood pressure that is uncontrolled over time, it can actually lead to kidney failure, okay? So that's a health complication that can be associated with having high blood pressure, okay? When it asks how is the disorder diagnosed, do you get x-rays? Do you do an MRI? Is there an ultrasound that must be done? In the case of breast cancer, a mammogram, okay? We learned about fibromyalgia in the muscular system. And if you can recall, that disease does not have a specific test or anything to diagnose it. So that disease, they rule out other things like lupus to determine, do you have fibromyalgia? So think outside the box on this one if you can't find like the diagnosis method right away. You could mention, oh, it's found with an MRI, or you could make it a quality paper and go into a little bit more detail of how that, you don't have to tell me how an MRI works, but what kind of things are the doctors looking for in that MRI that would help them diagnose it, okay? Prevention strategies, in the example of the lung cancer, avoid smoking. That's a great prevention strategy. Sometimes it's like diet and weight control, okay? And then it says, what are the most common current treatments for this condition, okay? So if you feel like you need to elaborate a little bit on a treatment for it to make more sense and for your paper to be more quality, wonderful, you may, okay? But I would like this paper to be no shorter than 2 pages. There isn't really a length maximum requirement. Most of the quality ones that I receive are about 3 to 4 pages, okay? Just so that you know, all right? Now, there's a section here that we talk about organization and flow of your paper. So you see all of these research questions here, but to me, it doesn't make sense to talk about like the prognosis of this condition before I even talk about how it's diagnosed, or before I even talk about common treatments. Like that just doesn't make sense to me. So you do not need to include the information in the order that these questions are asked. This is just so that you can find the right research, like find the correct information, and then you need to put it together in a way that is meaningful, that makes sense, okay? So again, I will be looking at this, and if it's clear that you just went in order of the questions and your paper just kind of is choppy and all over the place, that's when you are going to be getting lower scores in that organization and flow section, okay? That's it. I know I talked for a long time and I apologize, but hopefully I answered all of your questions about the APA format, where to find the right things, and what these different research questions are requiring of you. Good luck, and remember, due on Monday. Have a good day. Bye.